You know how Hollywood is. Sometimes women understand each other better than men ever could. And a few of my friendships, well, might have been a bit more intimate than people assumed. But I've never been close enough to share a dressing room with anyone without them driving me absolutely mad at least once.
Katharine Hepburn, with a beauty that was both cold and irresistibly enchanting, captivated many famous men such as Howard Hughes and Spencer Tracy. Yet strangely enough, despite having experienced numerous high-profile romances, she never remarried, because deep inside, Hepburn held a secret that few people knew. She once loved not just one woman, but Hepburn, all of whom were powerful, alluring, and mysterious figures in the entertainment world of that time. It was only toward the end of her life that Hepburn chose to break the silence, as those relationships had left emotional wounds that were difficult to share. So, who were these women? And what made Hepburn keep such things hidden, even to the point of deep resentment? Let's explore this surprising story together in today's video. 1. Joan Crawford, the woman who used Hepburn's love as a bargaining chip before the public. Katharine Hepburn and Joan Crawford were no strangers to fierce rivalries in the glamorous world of Hollywood. On the big screen, they often competed fiercely for significant roles, engaging in relentless battles to maintain their status as MGM's top stars. Their rivalry extended beyond the stage. They seized every chance to attract media attention at red carpet events and even severed social ties to shine brighter on their own. However, everything changed one evening in 1939 when both took part in a charity project for orphans and had to work continuously for 18 hours straight. That night, no one could have anticipated that between these two women, who seemed incapable of closeness, there would suddenly be an unexpected moment of kissing each other inside the makeup room. That moment shocked them both deeply. Hepburn, who was always regarded as a symbol of strength and independence, suddenly felt her heart open up, seeing another side of Joan Crawford, a fragile, lonely woman. Off the stage lights, Joan shed tears beneath her makeup, which stirred Hepburn's empathy and affection. Yet for Joan Crawford, those feelings were merely a game. When a reporter from Movie Mirror spotted both women leaving a hotel in Palm Springs early the next morning in the same car, the story exploded louder than ever. Instead of keeping their newly budding relationship private, Joan quickly contacted the editor of Movie Mirror, requesting silence about the incident. In return, she was willing to reveal unpublished memoir drafts on one strict condition: Hepburn's name must never be mentioned. This was a cruel betrayal that Hepburn never forgot. Though heartbroken, Hepburn showed no anger or weakness. In a private interview in October 1940, when asked about the matter, she coldly responded, "Joan always plays the role of a strong woman very well, but only when you meet someone truly strong in real life do you realize what she is really capable of." Now, after that painful betrayal, Hepburn silently vowed never to let anyone take advantage of her feelings again. Yet fate continued to challenge her. Just a year later, in the summer of 1941, Hepburn met another woman, a famous actress known for her sweet love letters to girls and always carrying a notebook listing her past lovers. 2. Mercedes Diaosta, the woman who once betrayed Hepburn. Mercedes Diaosta was not a shining star on the screen, yet her name was closely linked with secret love affairs within Hollywood's entertainment world during the 1920s and 1930s. She was not only a poet and playwright, but also one of the few women daring enough to openly declare her same-sex love at a time when society was still heavily influenced by strict gender norms. Mercedes's name was often mentioned alongside legends like Greta Garbo, Marlene Dietrich, and Isadora Duncan. However, her relationship with Katharine Hepburn carried a unique shade, both intense and risky. They first met in 1932 at the premiere of a play penned by Diaosta, when Hepburn was in the shining phase of her career, following the success of the film Alice Adams. With an aura of mysterious charm, Mercedes quickly captured Hepburn's heart. Soon after, she sent Hepburn a handwritten letter on French tissue paper, signed in red ink, and sealed with an irresistible invitation. "I know you are strong, but if one day you feel weak, lean on me." Hepburn was naturally very private about her love life, rarely revealing her true feelings, yet drawn irresistibly by Diaosta's powerful allure. She could not avoid being swept into this emotional affair. They spent many afternoons together, horseback riding in the quiet suburbs of Santa Barbara, where only the dry grass fields and their hurried kisses, hidden beneath cloaks, bore witness. But those happy moments did not last forever. Things began to change when Diaosta, unable to contain her pride in their relationship, started boasting to friends at lavish cocktail parties. "This time, I am in love with a woman who carries all of Hollywood in her heart," she whispered to a friend, causing the entire room to fall silent. This was something Hepburn could not accept. For a woman who always lived discreetly, this betrayal was deeply wounding. Hepburn's pain grew even deeper when Diaosta wrote in her diary a cryptic line: "She wears pants like a man, loves like a woman, but fears love like a child fears the dark." A year later, these words appeared in Diaosta's memoir, Here Lies the Heart. Although Hepburn's name was never directly mentioned, everyone in the artistic circles understood who Sheehan was talking about. Notably, after all that had happened, when asked about her former lover, Hepburn responded coldly but bitterly. "She was a great horse rider, but not someone I could trust to keep a secret." This statement not only revealed the deep wound Hepburn endured, but also highlighted the price one pays for giving their heart to a free-spirited woman who lacked caution in private matters. However, few would have guessed that the person who caused Hepburn the deepest hurt was not a rebellious or manipulative woman, but rather a gentle, kind actress, someone who once promised to stand by her for life, but ultimately failed to keep that promise. Tula Bankhead. 3. Tula Bankhead. The storm that nearly made Hepburn lose herself. Her first same-sex romance began on an early summer night in 1937. At the villa of director George Cukor, Bankhead appeared wearing a thick leopard fur coat, no underwear underneath, a cigarette perpetually hanging from her lips, and eyes that burned through every ounce of control around her. Hepburn, who was usually known for her cool and composed demeanor, could not take her eyes off her. Feeling as if caught in an inescapable whirlwind, Hepburn was unable to resist the intense attraction emanating from Bankhead. That very night, they quietly slipped away from the party, sitting together in a sleek black Packard, marking the beginning of a relationship that Hepburn would later call the most dangerous phase of my life. Bankhead was both seductive and unstable, and everything Hepburn had ever believed about control and self-possession shattered. Bankhead was not only powerful, but also harbored an unpredictable danger. Through long nights swept away by waves of passion, one night, Bankhead suddenly stormed into Hepburn's hotel room in a drunken, naked state, with illicit substances in her mouth, shouting, "If you don't publicly declare your love for me, I will make the whole world know what happens behind this door." Hepburn had never imagined she would be pulled into an addictive romance full of scheming and manipulation like this. Tallulah not only led her into a world filled with the temptations of drugs, but also turned her into a prisoner trapped in a relationship with no way out. On another occasion, while intoxicated, Bankhead tempted Hepburn to join a party flooded with alcohol and drugs. Everything gradually became hazy, yet Hepburn clearly remembered Tallulah's challenge. "If you don't dare to live honestly with your love, I will make all of Hollywood know that you're a fraud." That was the first threat in a series of actions from which Hepburn could never escape. It all ended only when a reporter from Confidential magazine caught them embracing at the Fire Island Resort, a secret paradise for the LGBTQ+ community at the time. If that photo were to be leaked, it would cause an explosion. To keep the secret, Hepburn was forced to pay an intermediary $5,000 and painfully end that relationship. But just when she thought it was over, Bankhead refused to let go. She began sending scattered letters to directors, journalists, and even Spencer Tracy, falsely accusing Hepburn of forcing herself on her while under the influence of drugs, tarnishing Hepburn's reputation. After that scandal, Hepburn never mentioned Tallulah's name again. But even after weathering this storm, she had no idea the next person would wound her heart even more deeply. A woman with eyes as cold as steel and a heart that would never let her in. 4. Dorothy Arsner, a secret love and a heartbreaking betrayal. The story between Katharine Hepburn and Dorothy Arsner is a complicated secret filled with many hidden layers that not everyone fully understands. It was not merely a love that never had the chance to bloom, but also a tearful wound of betrayal, leaving Hepburn lonely and utterly broken in her trust. In 1931, when Katharine Hepburn was struggling in the film industry and had yet to find a role that would make her mark, she met Dorothy Arsner, the only woman in Hollywood who held a camera and directed numerous films. Arsner was not only exceptionally talented, but also a guiding figure who helped Hepburn shape her career. The dedication and guidance from Arsner gradually sparked deep feelings and affection in Hepburn. But then everything took a painfully tragic turn. Evenings spent at a small bar by the Los Angeles coast, times sitting together, analyzing scripts, and even unexpected gentle touches brought them closer and closer. However, Arsner was not someone to whom Hepburn could freely reveal all her emotions. When Hepburn realized that her feelings had grown profound, Arsner did something Hepburn never anticipated. She not only kept her distance, but also bluntly rejected Hepburn's love. One summer morning in 1934, when Hepburn bravely took her hand, Arsner silently turned away, uttering nothing except, "You are an actress. I am a director. We can't have that." Those words cut through Hepburn's heart like a cold blade. That pain deeply wounded Hepburn. But what hurt her even more was the betrayal that followed. While their relationship was still kept secret, Arsner quietly became involved with a famous Hollywood man, Charles Boyer, an actor known for his charming appearance and irresistible allure. This was a massive shock to Hepburn, because Arsner not only rejected her love, but also secretly dragged another man into what had seemed to be their private love story. Hepburn had to endure not only rejection, but also the betrayal from the one she trusted most. A reliable source within Hollywood revealed that Boyer and Arsner maintained a secret romantic relationship lasting several months. They frequently met at secluded resorts to avoid public attention. Meanwhile, Hepburn, with absolute loyalty, naively waited for the chance to express her sincere love to that woman. When Hepburn discovered the truth, she was no longer angry or sorrowful as a betrayed lover. Instead, she quietly kept that pain locked inside her heart. A close friend of Hepburn recalled, "Katharine never let anyone see her fall apart, but deep within her heart, she lost faith in love and in those to whom she had once given herself." After that shock, Hepburn decided to close off her heart and would not let anyone in again.
5. Young lady always considered Hepburn only as a second choice.
The relationship between Judy Holliday and Katharine Hepburn is a story filled with many mysteries, stretching from gentle closeness to deep pain, ending in an unexpected way. They first met at the end of 1949 at Columbia Pictures on the set of a blockbuster film, not realizing that this encounter would change their lives forever. At first, there was only mutual respect between them, two talented actresses. But over time, their conversations after filming gradually grew longer. Afternoons spent walking around Griffith Park's lake, their eyes unable to look away from each other, despite the long moments shared, kindled in them a flame of affection that neither dared to admit. It was a kind of feeling that could not be named, yet it filled every moment they spent together. For Hepburn, those days were truly peaceful. For the first time, she felt safe in the arms of a woman, free from jealousy and outside threats. All that remained were two souls finding each other in a world full of prejudice and judgment. However, it was precisely that unjust world that shattered everything. When rumors about their relationship spread, Judy panicked. She was on the path to becoming a shining star in Hollywood, with a pure and hopeful image. As a role model in the public's eyes, no one could imagine Judy being involved in such a scandal. A few weeks later, Judy had a secret meeting with her manager at a Beverly Hills hotel, and they decided to cut all contact with Hepburn. She began to avoid her, canceling all appointments and pretending as if nothing had ever happened. The relationship, the sweet moments together, became nothing more than memories that could never return. Hepburn, though heartbroken, was not angry. She silently folded Judy's handwritten letter, which contained emotional lines. "I once wanted to leave Hollywood with you, to live peacefully in a coastal town, away from the spotlight." To Hepburn, that confession hit her heart hard, but she chose not to judge. She simply told a friend during a meeting At her Beverly Hills home, she chose the stage over the truth. I don't blame her, but I can't forgive her either. Yet Hepburn's pain did not stop there. This romance was only a part of the long story full of secrets in her life. 6. Greta Garbo. Parting ways to protect her career. Greta Garbo, one of Hollywood's greatest and most immortal icons, stood out not only for her ethereal beauty, but also for her absolute privacy from the outside world. The phrase, "I want to be alone," became her signature mark. Yet few knew that behind this solitude lay a heart capable of stirring emotions and suffering wounds. With her inherent aloofness, Garbo always concealed her deepest secrets, and only one person, Katharine Hepburn, ever stepped into that discreet world. In the winter of 1938, when Hollywood was still dazzling with bright lights and the cheers of fans, Hepburn and Garbo secretly met during trips to the quiet countryside of upstate New York. Isolated wooden houses, far from the noise of the outside world, became their refuge where they escaped the camera's gazes and the noisy gossip of the press. Garbo led Hepburn to her secret Manhattan apartment, where curtains were always drawn, telephones were always unplugged, and only the two of them enjoyed meaningful moments of peaceful solitude together. At first, Hepburn sensed something special in their relationship. She believed Garbo had opened her heart, breaking through the icy walls to entrust her feelings. They didn't need words, only understanding glances and long nights spent quietly side by side sufficed. Hepburn once shared that it was a love without words, a connection beyond any linguistic boundaries. However, like a nightmare from which one cannot awaken, Garbo began to withdraw. She frequently vanished without notice for days, refused all calls, and when she returned, she would softly say, "I need time." Yet, the worst was still to come. Garbo's silence and coldness not only broke Hepburn's heart, but also plunged her into a deeper tragedy. Beyond betraying her feelings, Garbo exposed every secret of their love affair, tearing Hepburn's heart apart and turning her into a laughingstock in the public eye. One evening in April 1941, a notorious New York tabloid published secret photos of Hepburn with her new lover, including intimate moments from her clandestine meetings with Garbo. Hollywood was shaken to its core. Public opinion surged with countless rumors and relentless gossip. But the story didn't end there. This woman went even further by revealing details of secret rendezvous and sweet vows known only to the two of them. The ultimate betrayal was when she openly named Garbo and exposed all their deepest secrets. This not only humiliated Hepburn in front of the public, but also trapped her in a situation almost impossible to escape. If Garbo had driven Hepburn to despair through silence, then the next woman pushed her into public disgrace, a person who not only betrayed her, but also put Hepburn's heart on the scale against fame. 7. Barbara Stanwick, the one who controlled every move Hepburn made. Barbara Stanwick was completely different from Tula Bankhead. She was neither loud nor flamboyant, nor was she one to easily share her feelings or reveal her private matters. It was precisely this that made Hepburn constantly glance back at her, both drawn in and fearful of Stanwick's cold gaze. It was a kind of danger Hepburn could not escape, and at the same time, a kind of love she had never experienced before. They first met in 1940 on the set of The Lady Eve in Hollywood, at a time when Stanwick was at the peak of her career, while Hepburn had just returned after a long period being labeled a box office dead end due to several unsuccessful films. Both were exhausted, lonely, and carried deep wounds that no one else could touch. Their feelings for each other began to quietly kindle, like a smoldering flame that was never openly expressed. They did not hold hands in public, send love letters, or give gifts, but a single look was enough to convey everything. Hepburn once confided in her close friend George Cukor during a private conversation in Beverly Hills, "When she looks at me, I see a colder version of myself, and I'm afraid that shadow will swallow me whole." On one occasion, when Hepburn was spending too much time talking with a young female screenwriter at the Warner Brothers studio, Stanwick did something no one could have predicted. She smiled gently and quietly left a note in Hepburn's dressing room with the words, "You can sleep with anyone you want, but I'm the last person you think of." Those were cold, sharp words, with no further explanation, simply the control that Hepburn could not resist. That sentence haunted Hepburn for years afterward, as she realized she had become a prisoner in this relationship with no way out. The climax came when Stanwick refused to accompany Hepburn to the premiere of the Philadelphia Story in 1940, citing fear of attracting attention. Hepburn, who had always been self-controlled, cried for the first time in many years. It was a painfully unforgettable moment, and from that night on, she cut off all contact with Stanwick without a single farewell word. Later, whenever asked about Barbara, Hepburn would only repeat one haunting sentence: "I can't bear to look straight at myself in the mirror." Stanwick had become a reflection that Hepburn could not look at for long, because the image she saw was cold, oppressive, and never truly hers. It seemed the wounds in her heart had been healed by the next woman. But the third person on the list of those she once dated made her wish she had never met them at all. With a brilliant career filled with countless unforgettable moments in her life, Hepburn has always been regarded as a symbol of independence and unwavering perseverance. Yet, deep in her heart, the 7 women who once appeared in her life left wounds that could never fully heal. She had loved and devoted herself entirely, but that very dedication came at the cost of loneliness, leaving her heart untouched by anyone else ever again. Do you think Katharine Hepburn chose the right person to love, or was she simply in love at the wrong times? Share your thoughts in the comments section below the video. If you want to discover more dramatic stories and shocking truths about the lives of Hollywood stars, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you won't miss any upcoming exciting videos.